Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. By Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it Jackson Aurelia. T-Force.
Welcome to the rework of the T-Force.
Like
now
that?
we're going hard because we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and casts from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a track force?
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and as always, I am here to host this lovely podcast, episode number 258, up in your ear holes for this week. Declawed is here.
Howdy.
Punch is
I like
here.
being in an ear hole.
Hey, everybody.
Cereal Box is here.
Are we going Earth mode speed here?
I have a lot of shit to get through. From the LCS rundown, Cereal Box is here. They did a great episode this week about MSI that is out already. You guys can go check that out, and you can plug that into your ear holes. Cereal, don't give that face. It's coming out, I swear to God. And last and always least, Chira is here.
Hey, what's up?
What up,
So,
Chira?
so wait, you're using Chi-Chi to up the pace.
I am using Chi to
Okay.
up the pace. Let's go. That's
see what
because
you did there.
I have a lot to talk about this week. First and foremost, we have advertisements, and I'm trying to get through these as quickly as I can because we have a lot of donations to read off, and then there's like 3 donations that are bribing us to answer questions. So that's why I'm trying to get through it quick. First and foremost, don't forget that Teamspeak is out there, guys. ts.trinityforcepodcast.com. Type that into your Teamspeak browser. Don't type that into your web browser. And you can join Teamspeak. Lots of people in there. Frown Power, Spork, Asterition, guys from the 4 Wars podcast. We're in there every once in a while. Everybody's there and willing to talk to you. If you have a question, just pop in and like, hey guys, I'm new. And they will take care of you. These guys are really nice. Everybody who sits in there, including us, are really nice. They'll take care of you. They're here to answer your questions. And if you have any questions you are afraid to send to the podcast, ask these guys. They're not going to lambast you. They're not going to make you feel stupid. They're going to talk to you and walk you through it. Seriously, everybody in that Teamspeak is awesome. And I know Chira can really attest to that because he hangs out with these guys all the time.
Everybody's way nicer than I probably will ever be. I'm kidding.
not hard to do.
I'm really nice.
Yeah,
I just said that. Yeah. You know what? Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Secondly, big announcement here. I am looking for a Python developer that is looking to increase their portfolio. I can't pay you, okay? I'm going to come right out and say that. I can't pay you. I have a Python developer who's working the site. However, he, lives in Baltimore, so the riots and stuff were happening, and / are still happening, maybe. And he has a wedding that's coming up, plus he, has had some other personal issues pop up, so he's really been behind. That's why we're like 3 or 4 weeks behind on the community site. It really should have popped up the first of this month, but because of that, he hasn't been able to get onto that. I have a CSS guy who's working with jQuery and everything to push the front of the website together. Most of the back end of the website's put together. I just need somebody who really knows Django and Python and can put this together and it wants to add to their resume. If you're interested in helping the Trinity Force community move forward and really turn this into a community where a lot of people can get together and talk League of Legends, and we can, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make a community for you guys, and I need the community's help to do it. So if you're a Python developer and knows jQuery and knows Django, please send me an email and I'll get you in contact with my Python developer, and we'll push this site forward because we all want the community site going.
Ironically, we're kind of constricted right now, right?
A little constricted, yes.
All right.
Wait. No, we got a counter going, right? Because we need a counter for this episode.
Oh,
okay, we're at
need
2.
one of those little
Good.
clickers.
Declawed Watch 2015.
This
It
is all
just
for the
lasts
greater
one
good.
episode. It's
Something like that.
5/6/2015. It only matters for this episode.
Last announcement before we get into the donations: Ghostcrawler and Riot Lyte will be on the episode on Monday,
Yes.
May
Can't
11th,
wait.
with Chris Alphenaar, the master level psychologist out of Michigan, who came on and talked to us at episode 239, and with Weldon Green. We will all be on this episode talking new tribunal, player behavior, game development, player behavior really is the all-encompassing
Right.
topic of this, but
That's awesome. So is it confirmed now? It's 100%?
it's not 100%. It will not be 100%.
Oh, it's still somewhat tentative.
Always tentative.
They said they are on, barring any crazy circumstances, like if there's like a fire in the building, they can't come on.
Oh,
What?
okay.
Really? That's
Yeah.
weak.
I know, right? Just grab your fucking microphones and stuff. Come outside and do it on your phones. Like,
Yeah,
I
really.
have to have
Come
fire
on.
extinguishers there. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we need to shed some light on the player behavior side of things. We haven't done that yet.
well, yeah,
Three.
three.
Oh,
That one was subtle.
Yeah, we did do a little bit of player behavior with Chris Alphenaar because in episode 209 we
also did some with Weldon.
We did do a lot with Weldon, actually. Yeah. So we're gonna end this whole player. Well, not end it. I don't want to say end it, but like kind of put a nice cap on it with the whole player behavior stuff. And we are going to move into donations now. Like I said before, the donations, we have a lot of them. I haven't really slacking about reading them off. There's a lot of donations that's already come in, and we've used that money to push the brand forward as if paying for server costs and whatnot. So if you would like to help us pay for server costs and everything, trinityforcepodcast.com/donate. Patreon coming out within the next week. We're just waiting on a couple little things, and you guys will see the awesome Patreon because I think you guys are going to really like what we have pushing out with that as well. So maybe hold on your pennies until the Patreon comes out, but... There we go.
Hold on to your pennies. That makes sense.
So first and foremost, we had $15 from Steven. He said, just donated and wanted to say you guys are the best. Love the show and so excited for the chance to trial Shoutcast Ballerina. Couldn't survive work without this podcast network. I think we did that one already, but you know what, Steven? You are...
You get a twofer.
You get a twofer, and you are podcasting. You are shoutcasting. You're doing a good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
$20 from Ernesto. No comment. So thank you, Ernesto.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Hey, we'll take it.
Hey, that's right. $25 from Randall. Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you for being good instructors and players. I listen to your podcast on my way to work on my hour commute every day. I want to donate to help you guys keep going. I'd also like to review some of my games. And I actually emailed him and said, send me a replay. We'll take care of you. For $25, I'll look at a replay. He also says that the T-Force Teamspeak, he hopes it gets going because whenever he logs on, it's pretty empty. And I don't agree with you there. Log on later at night.
What time you logging on, man?
Yeah, dude, it's fucking full right now. If I go in there, that thing is just hopping. And lastly, he goes, also $5 of this is to go to homebrew, as I'm an avid homebrewer myself.
That's awesome.
Randall, I'll make sure that $5 goes toward my next Zombie Dust batch I make next week.
Aren't you live streaming your homebrewing now?
Yeah, I am, actually. Yeah. I did a live stream on Twitch TV /Ponophobia, and it was 4.5 hours. And it was kind of like I'll be honest, it was a boring stream, but it was a lot of fun in the beginning, like for the first 2 hours. And then after that, it was like, well, what do we do now?
Well, when you're explaining it, yeah, it's kind of cool. But you don't do a whole lot in the process.
My favorite part with the whole thing was when I was saying dirty comments, and Luke's like, Chira, my mom's in the chat. Well, I apologize, but I mean,
does she listen to the podcast?
No, she just stopped by because I posted it on Facebook. So moving on, $5 from Bart. Thanks for the podcast. Here's a small token of my appreciation. I'm a new player, and I've noticed that at lower levels, people rarely follow the meta. For instance, last game I ended up with solo top versus a Caitlyn. I was singed. Or other times there will be two. That's seriously how it ended. Other times there will be two. I'm assuming other times there will be two people top.
2v1.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Is there a question?
Is there a question?
Or two Caitlyn's. Two Caitlyn's top.
Yeah.
That's
the worst.
Absolutely incredible.
We'll move on. I think the last three donations, like I said before, if you have a question that you don't want to wait for us to answer, because if you send us a question, we will answer it probably anywhere from 15 to 30 days after you send it, because it takes us a little while to do a mailbag episode, but we will do a mailbag episode once a month. I can guarantee that. There will be at least one mailbag episode a month, and it might take us about 30 days to get to it. But if you want to get your question answered sooner, we take bribes, and this guy bribed us. Riot donated $10. Hey, Team First Crew, my summoner name is Ledgerman, and unlike most of our other listeners, I don't dominate my lane. However, I improved a ton from listening to all the shows in the Trinity Force network. Keep up with the awesome content. And to DeClaude, if you can fit 20 quality puns into this episode, I'll double down on my donation.
And that's why we have a counter.
We're at 3.
Got it. Are you starting a ledger? A main ledger for these?
I don't know if it's quality.
I'm going to count that one.
Quality is the key there.
That's like 4.5.
Yeah.
I'll put 5.
Chris has a question. He donated Lyte 1337. My best roles are jungle and ADC, and I have the most success when I play a tanky jungler such as Sejuani. If I can't jungle, then what kind of champions and other roles would give me the best chance of making comebacks when a teammate feeds while still letting me have a strong presence if we are ahead? I'll leave that one open to whoever wants to take that first. If you can't get Sejuani, and he can,
if you can't get jungle.
If you can't get jungle.
Right. That's what he said. If I can't get jungle, then what kind of champions in the other roles would give me the best chance of making comebacks when
I'm sorry, Chris, but I really don't like your question, because you're after a unicorn. You're after a champion that doesn't have a weakness. A champion that can, because I've looked for this champion too. I look for this champion all the time. the champion that can, gank and roam and dominate the lane all without farm, just in case you don't get any creep kills, and they can still hyper carry late.
Well, I don't think it's that.
Doesn't exist.
I don't think that's what it's saying. I think it's saying giving you a chance to give your team a comeback, not necessarily you being the one person to do it. And if you're talking about something like a playmaking support, like I'm not obviously support role going to go there, but if you can set your team up, a lot of people when they're behind will still be able to do the whole roll their face on the keyboard and right click on the enemy. If you can lock somebody down with I don't know, I prefer Thresh, but somebody who can just set up your team to do a lot of damage. Not necessarily do it yourself, but you do the smart stuff and they do the easy stuff. You can come back with that.
And if that's what he means, then props to him. Can completely agree with you.
He's worried about a teammate feeding. What champ and in what role can help me come back regardless of how much X champion is feeding. Nasus, I think, is a good one. Nasus top, because if you play him well, you have that ticking time bomb going on you, and you can see it in your buff counter. If you just get unbeatable late game, you can throw everyone on your back, ult, and carry them to victory. So
I like to answer this question by deciding what your team needs role wise, and for instance, if you need an initiator, if your team needs an initiator, if they need a bruiser, if they need somebody to cover up a mid game power spike weakness, like your team is all late game and you need to get them to the late game, then pick something that's good earlier mid, like Lulu or Aurelia. Right, that's how I feel when I'm picking for solo queue. I want to complement my team, and I also want to pick according to what the enemy picks. You brought up Nasus, which would be a good late game pick, but if the enemy team has a lot of AP and mixed damage as opposed to just all of one type of damage, then I don't like Nasus into that, because Nasus can easily get kited and killed if he can't just stack all armor.
I don't think it's so much champion. I agree with Punch in the very beginning. There's no magical unicorn here. You are looking for a magical unicorn no matter what you pick, because we could pick any champion here and say this champion does this really well and you could use this to win the game. I think we could run through the entire 157 or whatever that number of champions there are, or what is it, 127, whatever it is, and say
20.
Yeah,
all 1 million champions, guys.
Whatever number of champions there are, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's Magical Unicorn. In my opinion, you should be focusing on more of what can I do and what can I say to keep my team morale high and win based on the team comp that I have picked or that my team has picked. Because if your team is picked as nothing but assassins, then you should probably be split pushing and trying to pick people off and leading your team to do that. If your team picked all in with Malphite and Sejuani was bans, but so you got Mumu, you have a Mumu, Malphite, Orianna. Yeah, well,
I think
whatever.
I think there is an answer to this actually. I think it's a unicorn when you're talking about solo queue. The one champion you could pick, and this is gonna be really cheesy, a positive attitude, because actually that really helps way more. If you can keep your team from going completely on tilt, that's gonna be worth a lot especially when one person's behind and is really pissed off about it.
How annoyed do you think our listeners are at us at this point where we are like,
they've shut off the podcast. I like that answer.
No. My whole point here is every time someone writes into us and says, what champion can I play in this role? We always revert to, it's not the champion, it's the game sense.
All right. I agree with that. I do have one champion that can be played in 3 roles, go either damage or tanky, and can still be solid regardless of what situation you're in.
Is it Bard?
Olaf.
Is it Gragas?
It's Cho'Gath.
Oh.
Because you can jungle him, you can play him mid, and you can go top. So you can get practice with him in 3 lanes. If you need more tank, you can go tank. If you need more damage, he hits really hard, and he has a whole lot of CC. So
and he's really strong now in this meta.
Yep.
That's the other big piece of it.
Really good.
I mean, that's fine and all. I really think people are focusing too hard on the micro game or on the little small game, and they really need people. If you want to get better at this game, focus on the micro part of the game. And granted, I think you need basics and fundamentals. I think you need to know how to orb walk. I think you need to know how to CS, and I think you need to know how to buy items. Those are your micro fundamental pieces of the game. If you can master those, you're gonna make that to gold 5. You're gonna make it to silver 3. But then to get further, to get up to platinum, you need to have game sense. You need to understand how to rotate. You need to understand where to be at certain times.
Understand how to read the map.
You understand how to read the map. You need to understand how important gold is, the early gold you get from towers. You need to understand how dragons impact the enemy team and impact your team. You need to understand
trade
all
appropriately.
these little things. And that's where, how we continue to yell and scream at you, everything we screamed off, because once you master those basics, it branches off into this giant willow tree. It just goes nuts of all the little things you need to understand and start mastering to get better and better and better at this game.
I do like Chira's answer when he brought up Cho'Gath, though, because it does bring into this question the meta. And certain champions are meta for a reason, because they're really strong right now.
Sure.
So if you're looking for a specific champion to pick up, then look to what's strong in the meta. For example, if you can't get Sejuani, or I know he's talking about not being able to get jungle, but we'll take jungle as an example. If you can't get Sejuani, Gragas is also really powerful. Right. So look to those champions and also learn what they're good at, because again, you want to be picking that champion for a reason, not just because it's the meta, but because they're strong at something that fits within the meta right now.
Yeah, and Adam mentioned a willow tree, and use pings, okay? Because we ping willow, just ping all day, and that helps communicate, keep your team together, and that can help, bring your team together and get that win.
Please.
Womp, womp. The table turn. Whoosh.
Oh, but I do want to, on a serious note, I do want to say that I like Mitch's answer when I read this a little bit more. The way he asked it, the other roles would give me the best chances of making comebacks when a teammate feeds. You don't be concerned about teammates feeding because you can't control that, so have a positive attitude and just be mindful of what you're doing.
You're here.
I'm pointing at
anything
right
can
now.
happen if you believe.
We're the optimistic podcast today.
Oh,
That's right.
That's weird.
We hope we gave you some ideas here. If you're gonna don't focus on what your team is doing. Focus on what you can control. We talked about this in episode 239. If you can focus on only what you control, if you can only control yourself, and you can make sure you play to the best of your ability, then you are going to move up in the ladder very quickly and very harsh, very fiercely, because you are going to be better than people you're playing with. You're going to be better than your opponents. You just need to control what you do and pick a lane that you're best in. Now, I don't think we really answered the question so much as we kind of picked a bunch of points to it.
Tips. I think we did.
Figure out what your second best role is, and find the champion in that role you feel like you can make the biggest impact with, and then play to your team's strength that way. Such a simple answer for such a long-winded question. So if it's Thresh and support, if it's Cho'Gath and top and mid, or if your second best is mid, you play Orianna, you play Victor, you can play whatever. Just play those champions. So
or even if you're not the best, necessarily laner in certain situations, like fall back on kind of tried and true picks. So yeah, you might not be the best top laner, but if you pick somebody like Malphite, as long as you're not dying, you still have an ultimate that can change team fights. So you're still bringing something in your team, even if you're down. It's just pick into whatever your team needs and do something that's going to be able to help out regardless if you're ahead, behind.
You're stuck 80 carry, you suck, pick Ashe and use your arrow.
Well, it looks like
pretty much help in team fights.
With looking for a champ like Sejuani, which is I think what he's kind of trying to get at, Sejuani still isn't that damage kind of champ. It's helping, and Malphite does that too. If you play him tanky, right, you're gonna impact very very highly if you can use that. Yeah, if you can use the CC well. So I don't know, pick champions that are like Sej.
There you go.
All right. Let's move on to the last donation and the final question for this period. We're going to move on to more questions after that. Russell donated $5 and he asked the question. Hey, T-Force, this is Sandor. Thank you for the podcast. I was having a terrible month emotionally, and all of you kept me going. I don't know if I would be able to be... Excuse me. I should actually fix some of these so I can read them easier on air. Thank you for the podcast. I was having a terrible month emotionally, and all of you kept me going. I don't know if I would be around without you guys every week. I have a question about tanks. I was playing Maokai into TP Smite Shiv and dominated lane. I was 4-0 in the first 10 minutes, but after building Roa, I started building tank, and I couldn't kill her. And as she pushed me so quickly that I felt like I couldn't get, or she pushed me so quickly that I felt like I couldn't get to her turret. My question is, what to do as a tank when you're ahead, especially when you're having a hard time getting their turret down to roam? Is getting their turret a requisite for applying map pressure elsewhere?
No, it's not. If you're a tank and you're that ahead, screw your lane, go with the team, go take objectives, go help your teammates with other lanes. If you can just go 3 or 4v2 or 4v3 and take bottom lane, you can just end up swapping positions with the bottom lane. They can go top and not give a shit about Shyvana.
if you are 4-0 versus Shyvana and you've built that Roa,
You've done your job.
you have done your job, and your team should be, and you should be capitalizing that. I think you should have the turret if you're 4-0 and Shyvana in 10 minutes. You should have that turret at 12, 13 minutes, easy if you're 4.
Yeah, it sounds like he might have been backing at weird times if he didn't get the turret by that point, because Shyvana has been dead for so long that
At
he
the
should have
same
gotten
time,
a lot
though,
of damage
it's
on that turret by then.
Maokai. It's Maokai, and he does not clear turrets very fast whatsoever.
Right.
So, like,
No, but doesn't he have pushing power early?
yeah, but that doesn't mean he has the mana to necessarily do it until he gets that Roa.
Well,
you
he
can
says
get the
after the
catalyst,
Roa.
and so I mean, even still, like that. What? It's about the 7-8 minute mark before you
True, he's
even
not
have
as good as other split pushers.
your
There
catalyst.
is a lot in this that we don't know. Are you maxing E? Are you maxing W? Or maxing Q? That's a lot of Maokai top. Like this entire question is kind of loaded to make it sound like he did a really good job. When in fact, I think there's a lot of little things you probably could have done in lane to make this better for you. I'm not trying to take away from the fact that you went 4-0 or anybody ever if you go 5-0, 4-0 in lane. But
You're doing something right if that's what you did.
You did something right, but you're also doing something wrong if you don't exert that pressure somewhere. If you're not exerting that pressure in the lane at 4-0, then you're either maxing something or taking unneeded punishment from the enemy.
Well, he said he was thinking about getting the turret first before he roamed. So
Right.
there's our answer. That's probably why. If we roam a little bit earlier, use that early
pretty
power
much.
spike.
Like keep this in consideration too. It's not only that he's 4-0, but he's 4-0. It's getting to the point where he can't kill Shyvana anymore. She has smite, so she's going to get to a point with challenging smite where he's just period not going to kill her.
Right.
And she's going to outscale him in damage eventually. But the thing is, even if he did get the kill because he's up 4-0, she ain't worth shit. So get out of that lane and go do stuff with your team.
You can also call somebody to come up there. Like if you're really set on getting that turret before,
Your jungler can come help.
You can get your jungler, you can get your mid to come up. Get somebody up there to help and say, "Hey guys, I'm all for roaming. I will help all over the map, but I really want this turret down first. Can somebody come up and help me out with it real quick?" And you might get another kill on Shyvana too. But if
As
you're
a mid
keeping her
laner-
down, if you're keeping her down that long, that's more time that she is taking to ramp up and become that person that's really difficult. So the 4-0 is really, really good. Don't discount the fact that you didn't get the turret.
Right. As a mid laner, I'd love to hear that. I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm headed to top right now. I help push that bad boy down. You come gank and roam.
So coming from somebody who's plays top lane, and now that they've introduced champion mastery, I'm probably going to end up going back to top lane because I want to master Rumble.
Adam, you have switched 3 roles within the past week. Calm your tits, sir.
Wait, what did you go besides jungle and top?
He decided
No,
last
no,
week. No, you know what happened?
No. I played Bard. I played Bard for 4 games, and I trolled the
right.
shit out of Chira and told him I was switching to support and playing Bard.
You were like, I think I'm just going to start support now. I was like, I'm bored of jungle. I need to do something else. Let's go play support. Adam doesn't want to admit that's what he was going to do, but that's what he wanted to do. So now he's like, screw support. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to go back to top lane.
He picked the most OP support and failed on it. So
I went 4-0.
did you win the game?
Yes.
Oh, 4-0
I won
in the games.
4-0s. I went 4-0 with
How's
my
your
games.
Maokai, Adam?
Dude, my Maokai's fucking beast.
Good. Well, he plays Maokai, so
My
that's the
Maokai
one
is better than
to
any
relate.
Maokai in this goddamn channel right now. I'm
Well,
just
you
telling
need to be
that.
aggressive as Maokai, because if you're retreating as Maokai, you might as well just log out.
Yes, that's right. You might as well. Am I allowed to make puns and count toward the timer? Also, Declan, what did you do with your camera?
specifically says
I hope
default.
so.
Declan, what did you do with your camera?
Camera's all up and
It's like all up in
Weird
your
place.
business right now.
Don't acknowledge it for the audio. Let's go.
It's not important.
I do want to say if you're playing Maokai that if you're doing 4-0, you're doing something correctly too, because I think Maokai needs to be played aggressive early. If you max Q, you can be very, very aggressive. You're doing percentage of life damage between W if you use those, but you need to use your W sparingly because it costs a lot of mana. But Q can chunk them. Plus, you need to be watching your number of or your passive, because your passive stacks off the enemy as well, so you can get free healing with auto attacks in between your spells if you weave them correctly. So that's like next level Maokai play. With that said, it sounds like to me if you're 4-0, you can't get the towers Maokai because Maokai has a problem pushing down the towers, that you potentially are using your teleport incorrectly, and that you're using it at the wrong times. And we don't know what's going on with the rest of the game, but if you're in this position, keep an open... I wouldn't build Roa. I would build Righteous Glory on him first. honestly, because that allows you to still bully out Shyvana. You still get that catalyst. You're not getting that AP until a little bit later. And it allows you to engage, allows you to roam more quickly. You can roam down in the mid and press Righteous Glory and jump on somebody and help them push it out. So rethink your build pass, I would say.
Like we said, when you're playing against another tank, there's going to come a point in time where you can't kill that tank anymore. So just go roam and affect other lanes. It's going to be two tanks beating on each other, and it's boring for everybody involved.
Keep in mind,
especially viewers, they're watching LCS,
Yeah, wet noodles.
tanks top lane, and nothing happens.
just because you backed and your teleport is up does not mean you have to use it to get back to lane.
Nope.
That's what blows my mind, because I don't feel like that many people realize that. Because yeah, you killed somebody and you immediately backed. You could teleport back and get that couple extra CS and a small XP advantage. But if you're already that ahead, you can walk back. You didn't really miss out on anything because you killed him, and then you can teleport in bot lane and shift some of your power somewhere else on the map.
I see a lot of people use teleport after they've done all that. They've killed somebody, they had this big skirmish, and then lane is pushing into the enemy's tower, and they'll teleport back to lane. Like, why? Why are you wasting your teleport?
If you're like him and you just want to push the turret down really fast, you'll get a lot of hits on that turret without contest.
Yeah,
So-
but I think the only time it's really I think the only
Yeah.
time it's really necessary as a defensive thing is like if you're behind and you have it, like if you die
And they're on
under
your
your
turret, with a
turret,
big
yeah,
wave.
and you're and like you're so behind on experience and just gold in general that you
Yeah,
need
teleport
that.
up into that
Then
bitch.
fine, that's a great time. You're gonna lose that teleport advantage, but it's necessary because otherwise you're going to be useless.
I don't have my light on in my room. I should probably fix that.
Thanks, Drunk Bone.
Who wants to read the first question in the document?
I'll do it. All right, so the first one we have here is Icarus. He writes, just started listening back in February. Great show, and you all are extremely helpful. Been playing for almost a year, and you finally convinced me to start playing ranked. Good for you.
Really?
Was always a
What
bit
did we
nervous
say?
because I
He's
didn't.
taking the plunge.
Well, he feels he got enough knowledge to feel like he's armed enough to actually go into ranked. So was always a bit nervous because I didn't want to let my team down and have everyone pissed off. It took me about 3 weeks to finish my placement matches, and I was placed in Silver 3. Wow, good for you. How? I have no idea. Sounds weird because I was hoping for bronze because there's so much I still need to work on. Don't look a gift silver in the mouth, by the way. I main Shyvana in the jungle, but normally get placed in support roles due to my nervousness in calling jungle and champion select. How can I get over being nervous and so worried about possibly letting my team down? Or does that just go away after time?
I will say that that does go away over time. However, as far as champion select goes and calling for a specific role, you are helping your team when you request a role because you're giving them information. You're saying, I'm best at this role and I would like to play it. And then the rest of your team is going to base their picks around that. Now, if maybe there's another jungler main, and he has more confidence in himself than some random scrub, which is totally acceptable. I mean, I think everybody does that. As an ADC main, if I see somebody else pick ADC, but I'm first pick, I'm still taking marksman.
Sure.
Because I have more confidence myself. But other people that are wishy-washy, maybe they play multiple roles and they're deciding, okay, I'm good at jungle and support. And they say that you're good at jungle, then okay, they know they're going to play support. So I think that is important to
100%.
communicate with your team during champ select and
I
say
hate when they
what your
don't
best roles
communicate.
are.
You're like, what do you want? I can fill. What do you want? What are you going to do?
Right.
Nothing.
One of the first things I did when I started doing ranked is I would put multiple roles down, but have them in order. So you at least you give some idea that you can play other things, because some people are so rigid and pigeonhole themselves into specific roles. But if you can at least give them an idea, and if everyone did this, you'd be easily able to put together like a great team comp, at least based on somebody getting a role they're at least pretty good in. So I put like support, top, 80 carry, and say I prefer those. If I have to get something else, that's fine. But if you can be flexible, but at least say what you want, it helps a ton. And it gives them an idea of what you can play. So you'll get more likely.
I'll do sorry, I was going to say I do Phil. I'll say Phil, but ADC worst. And leave it at that.
I'd just say anything but jungle.
Which is weird.
I mean, well, anymore. Not
That's why
anymore.
you're
I'll say
practicing
jungle. I'll say anything but like mid at this point because I can only pretty much play Victor in the mid lane, and I play. Yeah, it's really weird. I play Victor really well in the mid lane. Everybody else I suck dick at. So
yeah, don't
Bandit's
ever
down.
play Yasuo with Adam unless you just want to start crying.
Dude, my Yasuo is IDDQD. It's
really bad.
speaking to letting other people down, throw that to the wayside. You're playing for you. You need to be selfish in rank. You're something that I would like to preach to everybody, and I have a podcast so I can do it in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people, is that you need to be more selfish in ranked than if you were playing with friends, because you don't need to help that random person try to get out of that area if you think it's going to lead to a death. And if they start arguing with you, all you need to say is, I'm sorry. Because that diffuses the situation, you place blame on yourself, and then they can't argue with you anymore. We've talked about that episode 2 there now. We've talked about it with Weldon and Green. You just need to place blame on yourself, and you need to get over the fact that other people are counting on you, because everybody else that's going into those solo queue games is not counting on you to do. All they're counting on you to do is play to your best of your ability. Now, a lot of people tell you they're counting on you to win, but as long as you are playing and you are trying as hard as you can, you're doing the best that you can do for the enemy team. You are not going in there as support and expected to carry the game. You're not going in there as Riv and expected to carry the game. It's just a bonus if you do.
I'd like to build off of that plain selfish mentality and say to play smart, because if you're playing with the idea that I don't want to let my teammates down, then you're probably going to make dumb decisions, like what you were hinting at, Adam. Where, my teammate's under attack. He's getting killed by 3 people. I should jump in there and help him. When in reality, all you're feeding is you're just feeding the enemy team a double kill.
Yep.
So just play smart and play for yourself, right? Don't worry. As you play more, you'll gain confidence, and you'll worry less about letting your team down. Who cares about the rest of your team?
It took me a while to get over it, honestly. Go ahead.
Not only that, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen when you queue up for a ranked game?
You lose?
That's it. You lose
no.
fake online points that absolutely do very little to influence you outside of the game. So
that's great. That's a good point. I love how you're saying this, because that reminds me, back in high school, I played Dungeons and Dragons, and one guy got really upset because, another player stole from him. And then one of the other players went, wait. You're mad because his imaginary guy stole your imaginary guy's imaginary stuff. And he was like, you know what? I shouldn't be mad.
Yeah, it's like, and we're all guilty of getting frustrated in games. I've gotten frustrated.
You're the Chancellor of League of Legends.
I've bad-mouthed people. Like, it's everybody. Everybody's human. We make mistakes and we say stupid shit or stuff we don't mean or whatever. But like, realistically, losing a game isn't that big of a deal. And you're gonna lose a lot of games. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody is going to lose games. There isn't anybody that has a perfect record in this game.
Right. Everybody loses.
I can say there is no one with a perfect record. And the person who's like 8-0 and going through placements or whatever, that's bullshit. That doesn't count because you have like less than however many games played. But don't.
Everybody's gonna lose at some point.
You will lose eventually.
I am undefeated in ranked solo queue this season. It may be because I've played 0 games, but I am undefeated.
There you go.
Done. Well done, sir.
That's why I'm qualified to be on this podcast, because I'm undefeated.
Icarus, don't worry about. Is it Icarus? Yeah.
Listen, Icarus, you don't need to fly into the sun.
Don't worry. Don't worry about pissing people off or letting people down. So many people play this game. Chances are you're never going to see them again anyway. It's not. It's
you missed your golden opportunity to make a Leona pun. And I'm really, really upset about it.
Listen, Icarus, you don't need to fly into the Zenith Blade because Daybreak and Sun, I don't know.
Well, Mother's Day is coming up, so get her a card because she has a son.
Oh, there it is!
All right. We recouped that one, guys.
Well, thank goodness. If we didn't get that pun, we wouldn't make that quota by any margin.
Yeah, and she just got a raise at her job. All right.
Wait. He's not playing Trundle. There's no pillar here.
I like what Punch said though in the beginning. That pretty much just hits the nail on the head. Give information. That's how you're helping out. So don't feel like calling a role is being a dick, because you're not. Yeah, I hate when people don't call roles when I ask. The more information everybody has, they make their choices. Whatever. Let's say they steal the role you said you like. Don't feel bad. Just fill at that point.
All right, let's move on to the next question here. Savannah writes in, when I first started playing League of Legends, I didn't really like the key bindings because I was used to WoW and other MMOs, so I changed all of mine. I've got used to those key bindings, but my friends insist that I would be a better player. Sorry, made me laugh. My friends insist I'd be a better player if I use the standard key bindings. Do you guys think not using QWER would really be a detriment to my gameplay?
No.
No?
Play what you're comfortable with. But I will say this. Just be aware of how often you might misclick or miss button. And if you think there is an issue with that because you keep hitting the wrong button for whatever reason because your key bindings are U, A, Z, and P, then yeah, you'll probably need to change.
Damn.
But no, you don't need to use QWER. Use what's comfortable for you.
Don't listen to your friends. If WASD works for you and you know how to play around that, you make it work, then you do you, baby girl.
I mean, if you're using that to do movement around the map, that might not be very accurate. If you only can do like maybe the 8 directions that way, but yeah, if it's hindering you in any way though, like if you have something, I don't know, let's say you're having trouble with the numbers, like getting your items out. I switched a few of them on my mouse. It took a while to get there, but it was very helpful once I did because I got used to it, and it's way quicker than having to switch from your main abilities over to item key bindings.
Right. Especially
so
if
you
you're
know how to
dominant too with your right hand.
Yeah.
If you know how to type, home row and everything, you got that little nub on F, so you always know where your hand is. You know, you can hit QWER really easily with the one hand. It's all right there.
It
So
feels so weird to be on ASWDF. But then, you know what's funny about this question is when I first started playing this game, I just came from a lot of WoW as well. So I thought QWER was really weird, but I adapted to it because that's what the game had, and I wasn't going to change it. But I can totally see why you would do it because in WoW, I play with a lot of weird key bindings. Like I would do like tilde up in the left-hand corner, or I'd do like Z. A lot of people think Z is really hard to hit, but I made it work for me. Good.
Yeah, I like what Mitch was saying, or as far as how close together your key bindings are, because that affects the speed of how quickly you can hit all of your key bindings. So I think it is important to kind of keep them clumped together, and as what Mitch was saying, if you need to, use the buttons on your mouse.
Yeah.
and when you play Morgana, make sure you hit key binding too. Okay.
It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of like
Okay.
Jesus. It kind of reminds me of and this is a slightly off topic. When I first learned Guitar Hero, like you had you have the 5 buttons, and it was so difficult to switch between pinky from I think it was blue to orange. But then I learned to shift down, and now the index finger was the one moving more. So it was way easier, and it changed how good I could play the game. And it can kind of relate to this. I know it's a little bit far fetched, but it could help you if you think about it and think about one way to optimize it. It just takes some time to adjust.
That Guitar Hero cross training, Mitch, doing
that
right
orange
there.
note was impossible to hit.
Going back to college.
Very nice.
I don't even remember what I used. I think I used my pinky at orange note. I don't even remember. All right, let's move on. Ben writes in. Well, speaking of Through the Fire and the Flames, Punch went and saw Dragon Force last night. Did you hit the orange note in the crowd?
They hit the orange note multiple times. Did you know that they play Guitar Hero before they go up on stage?
No.
It relaxes them, or it loosens up their fingers, so they say.
They don't just play guitar to do that?
No, they play Guitar Hero. Who knew?
Did they tell you that?
Well,
So
you know what?
You heard it here first, folks. If you want to be a
you had
great
VIP, I forgot.
professional musician, play Guitar Hero before you
on the-
practice a real
on
instrument.
the same token, when I was in the army,
no.
and we were deployed, we would still play Call of Duty, all those games. So you
That's
just
some
enjoy it.
advanced warfare there to Claude.
No, that
Throwing smoke bombs.
that was way before Advanced Warfare.
Why did I agree for this episode?
Rainbow Six.
And why do I not have this on a loop, just flipping it constantly?
I'll put a GIF up there for you. Ben writes in, I am just about to hit level 30 and was wondering if I should be thinking about playing ranked and if there's any different mindset that I have when going into these games. Well, we kind of actually just touched on that a little bit. You're selfish. You should be playing for yourself.
Yeah, and I would say get your runes first if you're saving up your IP and everything.
Definitely agree with that.
Get your rune pages all set up, especially if you plan on jungling. Make sure you buy your runes and get those all set up and feel comfortable. And then, get a couple attribute pages.
This question, excuse me for yawning. Ben, I'm going to send this question over to the 4 Wards guys, because if they haven't already touched on it within the first 10 episodes, which I think they did. I'm a couple episodes behind. This is a much better question for 4 Wards, and I'm going to send that over to you. So, Ben, if you heard your name on here, and this was your question, go listen to the Four Words podcast in the next couple episodes.
I know we've answered it before too, as far as when to jump into ranked, and there's no set time. It's just basically when you're ready. And some of the advice we've given in the past is, have a few champions in each role just in case, and have a couple of roles that you prefer playing, so you can give your team that information, and then have, like I said, just said, have backup champions for the roles that you need to play if you free fall into them.
And part of being ready is having a full room page, for example, or like Punch said, champions purchased for the roles.
Right. Well, let's move on. Dane writes in, I guess my question is this a bad luck spell? Oh, he wrote a whole bunch before this about things that happened in game and this and that, but I figured the last paragraph was really the meat potatoes of his question. He believes what happened was just part of Silver Elo. So the real question would be, what can I do to secure wins even with the teams that I have described? And also, what did you do to overcome this hump? I gave up all video games and devoted myself to League of Legends. I love it because the learning curve is huge, and it's about game knowledge, critical thinking, and decision making. Whatever is happening to me now has already demoted me, ruined my win-loss ratio, and turned me into a cynical, crabby asshole. Please help. Well,
that's the problem.
Dane.
Well, that might very well be it. You just negatively snowballed yourself into like that cynical mentality. So like,
yep.
you're feeding your own demons on that one.
Tune in next week to find out from the horse's mouth when we talk to hopefully.
I mean, when I was stuck in silver, and I was stuck in silver in season like 2 I think it was season 2, because silver 1 I was gold, and I couldn't get back to gold in silver 2, and it was all because of mentality. And just getting over that hump had to do with overcoming that negative mentality and focusing on what I can do to help and taking a break in between games when I'm playing bad, and just focusing on my play and improving it.
Right.
I mean, that's Adam's story of getting to platinum.
In a nutshell, yeah, I had a really fucking terrible attitude. I think
your story
resonates.
resonates. That's a good point. Your story resonates kind of with this. You get toxic, you couldn't advance, and then all of a sudden,
your friends had to sit you down. And
okay. We're hitting every point here. I'll tell my story again for those who haven't heard in a long time.
Tell the story.
So what was it? That was season 3, right? When I hit platinum, because I didn't do much in season 4. Season 3. I had a very poor attitude. I mean, shit, I was actually going through a lot in life at that point, between like a breakup and everything else, bad, just life was bad, and so I was taking it out on League of Legends. And yeah, I had a very poor attitude toward this game. Everybody else is bringing me down. There's Elo Hell exists, this and that. And then Dom had joined the podcast and really started to push the podcast out of a slump, because the podcast was having a really bad slump at that time. Hornet had a baby, so Tyr had just left. Wrecker was inconsistent. It was really hard for me to get a podcast out, and that's when I slowly started to bring DeClaude and Cheer and everybody else on. And Dom set me down finally at the end of the season and said, "Hey, listen, you're toxic. You're not playing to the best of your ability. I can tell you're a good player." And having somebody set me down as a friend and tell me these things and talk to me as a friend rather than as an enemy, much like we're doing with you here, everybody else in podcast land. If you say that, this is happening, Elo Hell exists, I'm going to sit you down, look you in the eye, and say the same thing. I'm looking at the camera right now. It's not Elo Hell, it's you. Your
Elo Hell is a construct of the mind.
Your attitude is holding you back. And as soon as he said that, I started playing. I think I played Syndra, and I found some success with Syndra. I made it from gold 5 to gold 3 with Syndra. I played some Pantheon, made it to gold 2, and then suddenly I did Annie from gold 2 to platinum 5. I just found the champions that worked for me, and I pushed right through it because my attitude was, I can carry this game. I can turn this game around, and I found the champion that worked with me for that. So if you're the same person that you've just emailed us in these last 3 emails that's having a hard time, I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you right now, it's your fault. You are the reason you are where you are at.
Yep. Once you fix that attitude, go from negative to positive, you'll go from just regular Dane to a great Dane, dog.
Oh, God.
Boom! 12! What? 8 more to go.
Well done.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right, Jedi Zeke writes in, I'm having some mid-game issues with my team. So this is a scenario. The enemy team is trying to take some objective like Dragon or Baron, or possibly even a turret, while my lanes are pushing on one of our turrets. While the lanes are pushing on one of our turrets. So they're trying to take a global objective while their lanes are pushing against them. I went to that lane to save the turret, and then my team ends up going into some 4v5. Is there anything I can do mid-game to try and win team fights? It's kind of an open-ended question, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the other big piece of that too is that in certain, if you know, or like it's just a common thing where as soon as you go to a lane to save a turret and people dive on the enemy team at an objective 4v5 and ends up dying for it, you might have to just go against your gut reaction to defend that turret and be there with the team to either fall or break through the enemy. Because like, if this is something that's common and your teams are just consistently dying 4v5, you might be the one to make a difference. That being said,
dude, Andy Hornet was the biggest. He had the worst problem about doing this ever. This dude would be playing support Nunu and try to go out to a side lane and push that giant creep wave back and leave his team. And you're right, it's you.
It's juicy.
You're like, oh my god, I can't lose this turret. But think about what you get if you lose that turret. The enemy team gets 125 gold, but you've secured dragon number 4. You have the timer. Dragon number 5 is coming up, and now you can rotate because you want a team fight to take 2 turrets after that.
This scenario that he gives can actually be broken up into multiple scenarios. It depends on what objective you're focusing on, what your team is focusing on. He says Baron and Dragon. If they're focusing on Baron, then you need to stay with them because Baron is that important. But if they're contesting Dragon and the enemy team is trying to get their second Dragon, then you know what? Who cares? Advise your team to back off because solo queue focuses way too hard on Dragon, in my opinion.
Yes, they
Second
do.
Dragon is not important enough to throw your lives away.
I don't even.
So
I
let them know.
Hey,
let them know what your intentions are.
Dude,
say, hey, there's a huge creep wave over here. I need to go take it. Do not engage, and then go take it.
Mm-hmm. It isn't just the thing with the dragons though, because there are so many times where teams will end up sacrificing 4 v5s on the first and second dragon, which blows my mind, but it happens.
Yeah,
so
right.
the issue with that though.
It's because
is that, like,
3 seasons, Shira. We've had 4 seasons of Dragon being
where it was
worth
very
money.
important. Yeah. I mean, it used to
Stamps
be
into our
massive
brains.
early game, and now it's not as big. But at the same
You can let
time,
4 dragons go at this point. You can
At the
literally
same
let 4
time-
dragons go.
if your team is tunnel visioning that dragon that hard, and they're going to go and kill themselves on the enemy team, and the enemy team is going to get that dragon and potentially 1 to 4 bonus kills with the dragon, might just be worth, like, if they're already going to lose the game by doing that over and over again, you might be the swing factor to yes, the enemy team got the dragon, but you were able to clean up the fight.
Right.
And again, I would promote communication here. Try and teach your team that we don't need to do this. But if they're like you're saying, if they're hell bent on that dragon, then you need to stay with them because if there's a team fight breaking out, you need to be there.
That hellbent
they're all
attitude
together
is gonna change from team to team or whatever. There will be some teams that are gonna be way more open to being like, oh, you're right, this is only the first, second. The third dragon's pretty big in my books, especially if there's like a significant numbers on of bruisers or tanks on the team. It's just anybody.
I don't think if your team is not in position, if there's only 2 of you to contest that dragon, which happens a lot in solo queue, don't contest it. I honestly don't think you need to contest every single dragon, like you said. But if you can contest it, do it. If 5 of you are there, or 4 of you are there, and you can contest it, please, by all means, contest it. Or steal. But you can leave 4 dragons for the enemy team. It's not advantageous to you by any means, but it doesn't give them such a large advantage that they're going to win every team fight outright because they have 4 dragons. Still, outplaying the enemy team wins those team fights over the 4 dragons.
Right. And that's the thing. I'm not saying, be with your team at dragon every single time, because again, it's going to come down to like you being able to read what your team's potentially going to do. But like, say you are playing that Malphite, say you are playing that Rumble. Who gives a shit about that turret if you can use your ult and flip a fight?
Right.
There's also something that you guys are talking about here that I think is a bit more kind of missing so far. Well, we're talking about you can also do the turrets pushing, you're going for other turrets, which is something that happens a bit more during the game. And we don't have a lot of information on what the scenario is here. Sure. But the other thing that you can get is information. If you guys can get wards down in your jungle, which is in this scenario, your jungle is the key swing portion, like where people are going to be moving between lanes, you'll know way quicker if the people are going for dragon, if they're going for the other turret that you were just defending and your whole team needs to get over quickly to defend it. you need to know what they're doing, and that can influence your team a lot more than just saying, hey, typing in chat, hey, I think we should defend this, or pinging something. If they can see it themselves, they're going to react way quicker and actually agree on a lot more when everyone has that information instead of you just have a hunch. But yeah, if you have a team fight champ, yeah, you can never leave that team in bold as the Malphites. But there are sometimes it's okay, but information does so much more than anything else because you can make educated decisions as opposed to just rolling in like idiots and being lambs to the slaughter.
That's a good point, because if they see it, then maybe they'll react a lot more logically. They won't be up in the top farming that massive enemy wave. They'll be with the team. But I think when in doubt with this, you like to do the right thing, which is to try to stop or contest in a certain scenario. Don't go alone. When in doubt, stay with the team. Even if it's the wrong decision, just stay with them and influence the fight as best you can.
Probably 3 months ago, I played a game, and I had a Corki who was ADC. He was relatively fed, and he continued to try to side push lanes. And I made the decision to stay with that Corki at all costs. I don't remember if I was playing support. I don't remember what role I was playing.
Just follow him around.
But that Corki was fed enough that he could at least 1v1 somebody on the team. But with the rest of us on there, he could 4v1 the team because he had protection. And yeah, he wasn't doing the thing that I wanted him to do. Yeah, I don't think he was doing the right thing, but it was the right thing because it won the game.
The worst is when that guy backpings anytime anyone comes near one of his lanes and then tries to run away. But yeah, that's a good one too. If someone's doing the wrong thing, just keep going off on their own, follow them around.
Yeah, swallow your pride.
Yeah,
I think that's what it comes down. Swallow your pride. We talked about it before. It's sometimes you have to play a selfish game, but there are times where there is somebody on your team that's carrying because they are playing the selfish game too. And at that point, you need to swallow your pride and follow that person around and protect them at all costs. And that's why I don't play with Punch anymore because I can't swallow my pride hard enough. No,
where did that come from?
Just fucking.
That's why Rengar doesn't have a family anymore. He swallowed his pride.
Wow. I like that one.
Was a good one. That was a good one.
What we got? Ugly Knee writes, it seems that when I start to win too much, the game starts matching me with people that have no idea what they're doing or just trolling. Welcome to Elo. I start to see really weird picks such as Annie Jungle and Soraka top. Once I've reached bottom, I find that the game starts matching me with people that know what they're doing. Could you please tell me how the game sets up matches? Does it just pick 10 people very close to the same rank? Or does it take things into account such as win and loss streak? Thanks. He's asking about Elo, how Elo works.
You know what?
Trying to get
about
50%.
This is, I'll tell you straight out, you're wrong. You know what it
I'd
is?
be very surprised if this was a long occurring pattern. This sounds like maybe something that occurred over a weekend.
Yeah. I'll say the same thing. Like I used to say, it doesn't matter what time you play, and then I'll play for a weekend and go, "Fuck this game! I just had 7 games I lost in a row because of trolls." And then I'll go and play 7 more games on the next weekend and be like, "God, the weekend is the greatest time ever." It's a crapshoot, dude.
Yeah,
I wouldn't try to focus on or expect Elo to change if I go on a winning streak. Elo might change over the course of a season as you continue to rise over time. But if I just win like 5 to 10 games in a row, I don't think the Elo was going to change dramatically. I'm not expecting. Like if I get into
that's
a
unless
game
you're
after I win
very
10 games in a row,
few
I'm
games
not.
played.
Oh, it's the Elo's fault because now I'm in a bunch of trolls division. It doesn't make any sense.
The best way to master your Elo is to just play a good karma.
I hate you.
You know what I hate about his puns is it kills the conversation every single fucking time.
No. I don't mean to demean the conversation. I'm trying to get 20. But anyway,
No, I think there's a
man.
little bit. I think if we went back to like season 3 or a bit of season 4, when you could see who was ranked based on their MMR in Champ Select, maybe you could have a little bit better of an idea. If let's say if this is true, you're winning enough and suddenly you're first pick a lot of the time because let's say the same 10 people keep getting matched or something like that. And you get all these troll picks on the later picks, like the people who aren't getting their roles or something like that, then maybe I could see it. But when we don't have an idea anymore of who's higher than who, it kind of changes how you could say I'm the top or I'm the bottom right now of the pick order.
For those
but
of you that aren't aware, it randomly picks who is the pick or the banner. Now it used to be the highest elo was always the banner and the lowest was always the bottom, and that is no longer the case. They have made it so it's random.
Yeah.
When you go,
I think it's right, but I think it's just hidden MMR, right? It tries to match you like
Yeah, it tries to match you with people within your skill level.
But if you're winning, it puts you a little lower each time because it tries
if
to. If
you're winning, it puts you a little
50%.
higher. It tries to match you against people who are
Against
technically
people,
better than you, because if
Yep.
you're on a win streak, they assume that your MMR is higher than what it actually is, so that so when you win against us higher, you suddenly start gaining more and more LP as you go on
All right.
streaks.
I also want to bring up, have you known, or at least known anybody that's like kind of superstitious in their own like anecdotal way on how the ranking system works? Because like I have a friend, like I have friends in Plat that would much rather have like gold 1s on their team than a Plat 4 or a Plat 5.
Dude, that's me. Yeah.
They like, and it's because the gold 1s are try hard as fuck, and the people in like Plat 4 and Plat 5, they've hit like the place where they think they've plateaued at, or they've hit their goal or whatever, so they don't care anymore.
What the theory is that I've heard, and I agree with this theory, is that gold 1s are try hard as fuck because platinum 5 is where they want to be.
Right.
They say platinum is their goal, and so when they hit platinum, they have nothing else to work forward to, because you suddenly hit it and you're like, fuck, I gotta work through 5 more tiers to get up to Diamond 1, so I'm not gonna try as hard anymore.
What do you mean Diamond 5?
That's what I meant, Diamond 5.
Yeah,
I said Diamond 1. I meant Plat 1, Diamond 5. But then when you get to Platinum 3, same thing happens. People start try-harding really hard again, but then you get to Plat 1, and then you have people that are either stuck in Plat 1 or people who want to get to Diamond 5, so they're super try-hard. It happens at every top of tier because that next level is your final goal. I would rather have a full team of Gold 1s than a full team of Plat 5s, just because most Plat 5s that I've met are kind of like, well, fuck it. I don't care.
And I love it too, because there's so many people at like in lower plat that will like, they immediately want to, I guess, throw any of your reasoning for anything if you're gold or lower out the window. And it's funny because anybody that I know who's like diamond or higher is like, oh, like you're gold 1, you may as well be plat. Like it doesn't matter to them, because they like, I don't want to say they're more enlightened, but they're kind of sitting a little bit higher up the hill looking down at the people that are looking down on the people that are looking down on the people below them.
At this point, I don't even care anymore what your rank is. You could be silver 3. You could be, if you prove to me if you can come into a game and prove to me that you're a good player, I don't care.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Right. And additionally, I don't check what the ranks of my teammates are or who I'm playing against, because at the end of the day, I can't change that.
Yeah.
It goes back to that.
Good point.
Focus on what
Yeah,
you
the
can
game
change. Don't
picked
worry
it
about
for
the ranks of
you.
your teammates.
The game picked it for you. Well, that's why I think it's fun. Like, I'll play with the guys in TeamSpeak again. Spork, Jeffy Pants, From Power. You know, those are the ones that stick out to me right away. There's a lot of other ones in there that I'm not going to name off, but a lot of those guys are sitting in silver or gold. But they're solid enough players at their roles that I don't mind playing with them, because I don't have to carry them unless they're playing a role that they don't normally play, which is fine. At that point, I understand that.
That's the nice thing too. Like, I know plenty of people that are in silver and low gold that like they've played enough of certain positions where they're comfortable, and like, you know, they might not be able to take advantage of every little mistake that somebody that's a higher elo can make though. But at the same time, for the most part, they can hold their own pretty well. And as long as they're not dying, that still gives me the opportunity to carry if somebody on the other team's not crazy ahead.
Let's hit the last question in this document, since we are running on to the hour mark. We have about an extra 5 minutes to talk, and I think that'll end with this question. Well, that actually clears out the document, so if you guys want to get questions in, feedback at TrinityForcePodcast.com.
More questions.
We will do another mailbag episode next month. Donnie writes in, you know, before I get to Donnie, have any of you guys noticed that our mailbag is like really slowed down, the number of questions that we receive? Does that mean we're making players too good for their own good? That they don't have to ask us questions anymore.
I think the patches have been coming out too inconsistently, so we haven't been doing too many mailbag episodes, so people are just like...
Yeah, fair enough.
I think
I feel like we usually get inundated with mailbag questions, and then we like don't talk about them for 3 months, and I feel really bad.
If people are getting better, then my challenge is for all those people to get friends of theirs that don't know what they're doing to start playing, and then forward those friends over to us.
Yes, I like this.
Well, plus, since Days came on, we don't have as much mail on the show. So
15, 14. Donnie writes, we're not going to make it to 20. This sucks.
Claude, you better be stepping it up in the next 3
Claude, you got to step it up. You need 6 more. Donnie writes, hey guys, I have a question about gold 5 or gold per 5 runes.
Sorry, Donnie. Your question's getting riddled with puns.
Recently, I've been using gold per 5 quints and seals to give me a total of 5.25 gold per 5. I then take Doran's shield and health pots to make up for the missing armor. This is a setup I use on roaming supports like Bard, since he can miss out on a lot of gold from his support items by not being in lane to use them. I'm just wondering if it's a terrible setup, and if so, why? Donnie, yes, it is, because no one uses gold per 5 runes or anything anymore, because the level 2 power spike in bottom lane is so huge that, and runes play such an important part in the first 3 or 6 levels of your play, that you shouldn't be roaming. And if you are, there's probably something that you're doing inconsistently in lane, like not winning as hard as you could be, I'll say. Like, if you are pushing them so hard to their tower that you are not getting the passive gold, then you need to pick a different gold-generating item and play deeper in utility, because there's enough gold between utility and your gold-generating items that you can sustain in lane without those gold per 5. That's the long and the short of it.
Someone brought up in chat a good point. Tall and Nasty says that gold runes became worse when they upped the ambient gold income. Mm-hmm. And I think that is around the time when people stopped really using those. I know I used gold per 10 with supports for a while, and then probably around that time, the ambient goals increased, and I also realized that, man, it's just really hard. It's just a lot harder to win skirmishes and take control of the lane when I'm missing combat stats and I've got this gold per 10, right? Yeah. I mean, if you want to, so if you're playing a poke champion, or if you're playing an all-in champion, it really doesn't matter. You want to skirmish and take control of the lane. That's just hard to do with gold per 10.
Yeah, because you need that extra armor to be able to take that trade. Gold per 10 gold per 10 was used when we had passive supports and less ambient gold and less gold that went to supports, because supports weren't getting items off of their support items. And if you are not gaining gold off of the what is it? It's not Frost Queens. What's the first item? I can never remember the name.
Spell Thieves.
Thank you. If you're not getting gold of Spell Thieves, then you need to switch over to Runic. If you're not getting gold of Runic because you can't last hit, then you need to switch over to the Ancient Coin and just gain the passive gold.
Easiest one. Yeah. Grab a coin. That's pretty much your GP5 right there.
That's all you need in GP5, and then you can stay in lane long enough that GP5 and the extra gold you're gaining whenever somebody last hit a minion by staying in lane gives you enough gold to continue. Now, Cereal Box might be able to talk to more of this as he is a support main, but are you running any gold per 10 or gold per 5 runes anymore?
No, not at all. If you're worried about the gold, like the Spell Thieves gives you so much more in terms of, you get a little bit of extra damage, which is so important in that early game. You get mana regen. Yeah, you're getting 0 combat stats from gold, unless your whole goal is to just get to, I don't know, a race to 1,000 gold or something, which isn't how this game works. But if you go coin, you're getting mana regen. If you're talking about something like Bard, you really need mana regen, and you get that from both of the 2 support items you would build normally in the coin and Spell Thieves Edge. So you need that. I love the idea of getting gold, but that died with Philosopher's Stone and Heart of Gold a long time ago, in terms of supports buying that pretty early, like, just because that's really just kind of passive stats. Now you need the active stats for fighting really early, because if you fall behind too early, like if you or your AD carry gets chunked too hard at level 2, you're playing catch up for a long time in laning phase, and that's really painful to try to CS or even just survive in lane when you're down that far.
Like Kargan brings up here 15 armor compared to 3 gold per 10. Just think about it. That 15 armor saves you from, I don't know what, 3 or 4 damage every hit in the early game. Yeah, that adds up pretty quickly when you're taking 4 or 5 auto attacks to kill yourself.
If you're trying to do something different with your quints for roaming, gold isn't that important. I'd go move speed. Maybe 1 to 3. You can kind of mess around with that and play with it a little bit, but yeah, that's way more important, and it helps you roam quicker, get more out of your roams. To be fair, you would be getting more gold by roaming if you just walk around for a while, but walking around quicker and doing more with your time.
I think Ezreal says it best. If your gold is in ruins, you belong in a museum.
Okay, so Alexo in chat asked a good question. I want to get Mitch's response on this. So on the topic of gold, passive gold over time, is it more worth it to take those deep gold passives in the utility tree as opposed to going deeper into the defensive tree? Because that is kind of the combat stats versus gold argument that we're having here.
You still get a good bit of stuff if you're going all the way down defensive. I forget how big the cooldown reduction is. It 5% or 10% like full cooldown at the bottom of the utility tree?
Oh, 6.
You get significant stats later on besides just that gold, but it's really helpful. Like you're supplementing your Spell Thief's Edge or your coin. Like you're essentially enhancing it by like 30% or something. That's obviously rough numbers, but you're helping that gold a little bit, but you're also not sacrificing too much for it. Whereas in runes, when you're trying to add that in, you're sacrificing a lot. So I don't usually go super far down the defensive tree unless I'm playing a tankier champion like Thresh or Bard. Sorry, wow, Braum was what I meant to say there. Thresh, Braum, Leona kind of champions. But when you look at the caster type of the utility champs, not tanks, it makes way more sense to get that. You can play a bit more passively, but yeah, Adam's got something because he's waving.
So,
No, I was trying to get my camera. I was being really weird tonight. Like,
He's pawing at us.
So pretty much what Mitch is saying
I'm not in
is
Italy,
is
fuck
about getting the gold in your utility tree. He agreed, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I thought that was a pun.
Exactly.
So I could have waited.
It actually is.
Agreed.
Oh, agreed. Damn it. Oh my god.
Agreed. Oh.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Claude.
But yeah, you're going to get stuff in that utility tree anyway as support. So it's only 1 point away. You're not sacrificing 15 armor.
Yeah, that's talking about losing like all was it seals and like a quint or two, maybe 1 quint, because you get 9 and then was it 4.25 for whatever numbers. We don't need to go through numbers, but
There's something here. I saw how you chopped down that tree. I don't know. There's something here with a pun.
You're forcing it.
No. The one I'm sitting on right now is, since we compared it to armor, is that, a support should arm more anyway after 6, because it's all about your abilities and utilities. So
I'm just trying to get to Claude to hit his last 2 before the podcast ends.
We don't have to
just
drag
stalled.
that.
we're not
question?
softballing him. We're putting them on a tee now. We're playing tee.
Oh.
Does it count if somebody else does it? Because that's 19 total.
I think it should. No, well, you've been doing.
I'm a
there,
guess.
So we have over 20 if that's the case.
This is horrible. I feel bad.
Yeah, I don't know what I signed up for. I feel like I made a giant mistake.
Okay. So
Hey,
so
I'm
just-
king to Claude, not queen to Claude, so I shouldn't be under pressure.
Oh my god.
Okay, so just to set him up for anything by having any other conversation, I will be at MSI this weekend if you guys hear it at all or people watching. So if you guys are going to be there, come out, tweet me, come say hi. I know Talanasty in chat is going to be there. He's FSU's League of Legends coach.
Yeah, but this guy over here is going to be behind the scenes, fucking eating free food and interviewing people.
You got to press
Well, we'll
pass?
see. I don't know if I can do that yet. The interviewing is going to be interesting, but yeah.
Did you get your equipment?
Awesome.
Yeah, I think so. I got home and like immediately set up for this. So,
okay.
I love having this great logistics conversation at the end of the show, guys. We're doing great.
Hey, speaking of
I'm trying to give Claude anything to talk about.
He's excited about it. Come on.
yeah, we're just
And
talking.
I'm excited about it. We got him going. Are we going to have it on YouTube? Is it going to be
No,
on
this one won't be in YouTube. Oh, you know what? We'll probably have to make it like a audio YouTube because the problem is I can't send him the equipment from LCS, the stuff they use at LCS, because then we're a week out without the stuff at LCS. So.
Oh, you don't want to just
there's a lot of time before LCS starts back up, right?
Oh yeah, there is, isn't there?
Yeah, we
But
could
it's a little late now, so
We didn't know I was getting them until last week.
I mean, you could just janky ass iPhone camera that shit.
that's what I told him to do.
Yeah, I'm all down for that. That'd be great.
You should seriously. Like, you do it. Just make Alex hold the camera.
Hey, when people are recording, like famous people are recording podcast audio from their phones, like while they're traveling on planes or in a car or whatever, I'm pretty sure we could probably get away with it.
I don't know. It would sound too phony.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Guys, don't forget to check us out on May 11th.
I hit 20.
He did it! Whatever.
Hey.
Yes,
All right, announcements,
MSI
come on.
predictions. That's on the LCS rundown. Download that tonight. I'm going to be uploading after this podcast. So, That's it, guys. May 11th, Ghostcrawler, Riot, Lyte. Everybody will be here in a tie on that night. We will have 7 people total, and we're ready for it. We're gonna have Chris Alphenaar on. I'm gonna let him know to wear a tie as well. And
fuck that, I'm showing up naked. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Ghostcrawler, Riot, Lyte, May 11th, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Trinity Force podcast. By the way, we'll be on the front page of Twitch that night, so please take screenshots and let everybody know. Hype.
We promised this time.
Hype. We actually promised this time. They told me. They were like, yeah, that's what we want to promote. Fuck my camera. Like, it's not doing its thing. Peace.
See you guys.
Yeah.